How we doing, everyone? Welcome to another edition of FSI's NASCAR DFS content. I am your host, TK Nation 47, joined by Andrew Berry, Mega Ruler 31. How you doing this morning, Andrew? And are you ready for some racing?
Yeah, ready to go. Bright and early, recording
Yep.
this.
Believe it or not, I am actually awake before the 7 o'clock hour. This is not normal. So Andrew was surprised to see me jump on this morning, but I'm glad that we did. And it's going to be a great time. Xfinity was, I guess, okay. Apparently, we're not the Josh Williams.
Whisperers, no.
Yeah, no. So don't listen to any time we ask you to play Josh Williams because it's just not going to work out. 2 weeks in a row, one of the most consistent drivers, small team, never tries to wreck the car, and 2 times he's gone away with exits, and there went our lineups in the process. So unfortunate for the Xfinity race.
Well, even beyond that, I played the ARCA guy that I thought would do really good, Kyle Sieg. And somebody on Twitter posted that he might be the worst Xfinity driver ever.
Fun recap for the Xfinity Series race. Yeah, I thought he would do pretty well as well.
But we got the winner with Cindric, and Allgaier finished third. So, the top of the lineup was great.
Yeah, and Allgaier had a lot of lead laps too. So we were there with the studs and the analysis and breakdown. It's just our values didn't come through. Hopefully they start to for the truck and Xfinity starting next week. But we're talking Cup, and let's get into the Drydene 400 laps, 1 mile. So gonna have to get a lot of Dominator points this week. Place differentials not really gonna matter too much. I think finishing position. Lead laps, fastest laps. Let's get some speed here. Let's keep some cars clean and come away with some money. Let's get into Martin Truex Jr., the man of the season so far. 3 wins. Sitting on the pole. He is 11.9. I mean, that's a pretty high price tag for a
Cup driver. Like a Kurt Busch truck race price.
Yeah. My gosh, is this someone to play or fade with that price tag and starting position?
I know that the pole sitter this year hasn't done well in getting out there and leading laps, but I think this is a horse of a different color. I think he is going to continue to get out there and dominate, or at some point get out. As we talked about in Xfinity, you can pass a little bit here. It is difficult, but it is very difficult to pass the leader. So I really like him, and I will be, even with that price, I think it's worth to play him. They've got it figured out from the setup. He's a he's a really good driver, and I think he'll do well today and get some dominating points.
Yeah, he's going to lead upwards to 50 to 100 laps just on floor alone with that starting position. He's going to have a good pit stall. He's got a really good car. He's going to probably dominate the early portion of this race. Is there a possibility that somebody has a better car later in the field or better strategy? Yes. And when that comes around, we'll try to nail that driver too. But that price tag, we're going to have to really dig deep for some values. There's not going to be much of a mid-range this week as far as builds go for cash games, I would say. In GPPs, you can obviously do whatever you kind of want to in your own mind for how you think the race is going to go. But for cash, I think Truex ultimately will be the first man in with how his form is going.
And there's no such thing as a sure thing, but out of the last, I believe, 5 races or 6 races, he's been in the top 5, 5 out of 6 or something like that. And I know he has at least 1 win. So
yeah, there's your upside too. I love it. Go ahead with Truex, guys. Denny Hamlin, is he a dark horse for early Dominator? I mean, certainly not no slouch, Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pair him with Truex. I think he's my second favorite Dominator here. He hasn't won yet. It could be coming this week. He did really well at the Dover races last year. He won the first one. The second one, I think he would have won, but he had a loose lug nut towards the end of it. and that caused him, and that gave the race pretty much to Harvick. But he was dialed in both these tracks. He looked good last week, so definitely think this might be the week that he might get ahead of Truex and possibly win this.
Yeah, so I think that makes for a break off of your perfect GPP strategy. If you don't want to play Truex in a lineup, roll with Denny Hamlin and then hope that Denny Hamlin gets out to that early lead. And like you said, maybe you can play both in one lineup. And then from there, I think you kind of got to go straight down into that 6K range and then just kind of start filling out your lineup that way. But yeah,
I don't
Denny
want to
Hamlin.
go conspiracy theory, but you got to think with them being teammates, Truex has 3 wins this season already. Yeah. And if he and Hamlin are battling up top, I got to think that Gibbs is going to be like, just let Denny win, just because that like locks him into the playoffs. I mean, he's leading the points, even though he doesn't have a win right now. But I think, just having that security, teammates, something might happen there. So
I was looking at the standings for a little bit the other day, and I did notice, Denny chased 2 drivers without a win, but they're going to get in on points. Like unless we have 5 random drivers that are more random than the guys that have already randomly won, you know what I mean? Win a race. I still think these guys are fine to get in.
But it only takes like a couple hits. Like, you have another Daytona over the summer that's coming up before the playoffs, and a couple mechanical failures. How's he going to do on this the road course in Texas, which most of these Cup drivers haven't seen? That usually the trucks.
This is true.
So just some theories, but okay, continue.
Yeah. No, I like them. William Byron, I think we spoke on it last week, and I think we're going to be pretty solid into the GPP 10%, 20% range from him. If you make 20 lineups, maybe he's in 1 or 2. If you make 150, maybe he's in 10 or 12. So
yeah, he's been consistent. He just hasn't been like the elite.
He isn't dominant.
Has been doing good. He's been nailing setups. I like the pricing here and everything.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be putting him in cash.
No, he's just like that. He's just a driver that doesn't dominate races, but he can certainly find himself in the thicket of it in the end. And I think that's good for his price tag. It's just, you don't overweight that position on the track in that situation. So just throw a couple of GPPs, and if he comes away with the victory and maybe 50 laps led, pays it off. So I think it's a fair shake for William Byron. Next up, we have Kyle Larson at 11.5. Not in the teens no more. Kyle Larson starting 4th. So we have some true thoroughbreds up here at the top with Denny,
and Larson
Truex, and
had
Larson.
The best car last week. He made it up through the field, got a penalty. It was like Chutes and Ladders. Got sent back to the back again, and then made his way up. And like he was the only one to really get in Truex's zip code last week.
Yeah.
He was challenging towards the end. If they had like maybe 50 more laps than that, he probably could have, or maybe even 25 more laps, he could have maybe overtaken him. But
sure,
still, I mean, he seems to have like one of the best cars this year and be one of the best drivers. So I think, between Truex, Hamlin, and Larson, you need 2 out of the 3.
2 out of the 3. Yeah, I think that might be the case this week. With the severe drop off in salary after the 6 10K guys that we have to talk about today. Larson, he's probably one of the only 3, or one of the only other 2, him and Hamlin and Truex, that can actually battle themselves. And definitely a car that's pretty good off the hauler. Kevin Harvick at 9,800, starting 5th. Any dark horse love for Kevin Harvick? I mean,
absolutely. I think this is the one that's most intriguing. I think these were his 2 most dominant races. Like the first race, he had like a mechanical issue with the car. I think it was track bar or something. So that kind of slowed him down. But the second one, he came out and he pretty much dominated it. Now, then again, like Hamlin was up there also, had the lug nut problem. So that put him back in towards the end of the race, and Harvick just stayed out there and won it. But this might be the medicine for him to get right. I think, but not that he's been horrible this year. I think Chase Elliott's been worse, or like Kyle Busch to start off the season was pretty bad too. So, they've all had their struggles if your name's not Truex, Hamlin, or Larson. So, but I think he's going to be the first guy Dominator in my like GPP lineup I'm going to build.
Cool.
I think I'd like to build around him.
Cool. This won't be my GBP pick. We'll get to mine in a later date, at a later time. But yeah,
He's going to tell us
Harvick,
next week who his GPP pick was.
no, Kevin Harvick he's okay. I mean, he's certainly a car and a driver worthy of GPP strategy. Next up, we have Kyle Busch starting sixth, 10K for $200 more. He's starting to find some form. Couple of top five finishes with a win. Your love for Kyle Busch?
He finished 10th once in the spring race in Dover. The rest of his races here in the spring have been abysmal. There's like this thing like the spring Dover race curse for Kurt Busch. I've seen
for Kyle Busch
people talk about. So I don't know if I really believe in stuff like that.
Yeah,
but like there's nothing like scientifically that would change like maybe temperatures between like spring and fall, but they should be pretty similar. So I don't know. I think he's okay in the GPP. I think his form is coming back, and he's doing. I think 10K is a little. You know, if he was back down at like 9K, like it was a couple weeks ago, it was struggles, and he wanted to get in early before his like price rose up, then maybe. But I think he's okay, but he's not somebody I think I'm gonna play.
I'm going to take the same approach as I do every week with Kyle Busch, like 10-20% in my GPP lineups because of his racing abilities. And it doesn't sound too well. It sounds like I'll be more on the 10% side, given some of the early spring struggles that you had mentioned. Next up, we have Ryan Blaney at 8,400. Sign me up. Starting seventh, price tag. Sold me on Ryan Blaney. Not afraid of that starting position. Yeah.
I'm going to actually use him as a third Dominator in most of my builds.
Yeah.
Because like at 8.4, he should be finished at least where he is. Like this is definitely probably a top 5 car. He does okay at this track, and he could potentially get up there and lead, and he has some win equity. So I like he you know, I can't believe he's this low priced here.
Yeah, I think DraftKings, when you get to guys like Byron and Blaney, they're just tempting you with a guy they know they can't really dominate the race, but they can win it. So they're throwing these these underhand pitches at you, and they're hoping you either swing really hard and miss or swing really hard and hit it 600 feet. So that's kind of like the approach I'm going to take with Blaney as well. Yeah, 8,400. I love the price tag. I like the couple extra place differential points that can more so than Byron, but I'm certainly going to have some exposure to both. Next up, we have Chase Elliott at 10.7, starting 8th. Is this a fade?
Yeah,
at the price tag.
He's really not been good at this track either.
Yeah, I know there's no history.
I think he wrecked out early in the
top
Sunday
race. 10 races or something.
Yeah, it's not been good. He'll figure it out sometime this season. Again, it's like kind of like the championship hangover going on, but we were seeing it a lot too. Like Harvick had things dialed in last year, Chase. So either the field has caught up to them, or it's just they're going with what they used last year at these tracks, and for some reason it worked last year and it's not working this year. So
yeah, I got to question the focus of the team here. A couple of pretty piss poor performances. So 10.7, that's I don't know if I can pay 10.7 for Chase when I can stretch that for Truex and Larson and Denny. We'll get
to it in a second, but Brad Keselowski's starting down a little bit further. He's $400 cheaper.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be have that much. Yeah, if you have that much salary.
Yeah, crazy, but I'm going to be excluding Chase Elliott this week. Now here we go with my favorite GPP pick of the week. That is Joey Logano at starting 9th at 9,500. That is way too cheap for me and Joey Logano, especially starting 9th. Top 5 car, in my opinion. I think he's one of the only guys that's going to contend with these 11 case thoroughbreds here. You think Harvick? I'm thinking Joey. I'm smelling GPP or our head to head.
Yeah, no, I think it would be more appropriate would be Blaney Logano with the pricing.
Fair. That's
Um,
fair.
but I like Logano. He seems like the kid at Thanksgiving that gets to eat at the adults table. I mean, he's just he's there with them, but he's just not quite ready yet. He's just like one like step behind this elite crew of like the three kings up top there of Truex, Hamlin, and Larson. But again, these Penske cars are solid, always decent, good teams, and it never
Yeah.
surprises you when all three of them link up and are up leading a race. And so it's usually not this type of track that happens, but um, I could I can see it. So I don't hate them. This isn't like one of your picks where I'm just like, but
No, I think I'm gonna have a decent amount, up to 30 to 40% exposure on Joey.
my only concern with him is like in my lineups where I have, if I play Truex and Hamlin, or even if you have Truex and Larson, and I throw in Blaney, that only gives me 62 left for my final three guys, which I'm okay with the guys that I ended up on. I don't love it.
Yeah.
If you take Logano as like a third guy, because you'd have to like, if you're playing like Truex and Hamlin, that only leaves you 58 for the three guys.
Yeah.
So you are in Scaryville there. You
Yeah.
are playing James Davison, Cody Ware, Quinn Huff, Garrett Smith Lee, or Josh Bilicki. Just put all their names in a hat, pull one out, and say, "This is my ride or die here," and I'll just. That at least will give you some 6K guys to fill out your lineup. But
See,
that's the only thing that scares me with Logano is I would have to now, if you're going to go like Truex, Blaney
Logano. Yeah, that's where my GPP strategy is going to be.
Okay.
More
yeah,
balanced.
and that makes sense there. If you're going GPP, dude, just fade Truex, because if he's going to be like the highest owned guy, then if anything happens there, your leverage is incredible.
Right. That's kind of my thought process here is if I go Hamlin or, go Hamlin, Logano, Blaney, and then I can maybe fill out a guy in that high 7K range. That's going to be probably my $100 strategy. I'm going to close my eyes and golf 18 and try not to look.
or just take all three Penske, and then
hey, there you go.
That's a nice salary, and then that'll get you up on some of the other guys that we're going to talk about in the 8K range that nobody's probably going to play because they won't be able to afford them.
True that. Okay. I think I like where we're going here. Next up, we have Chris Buescher to round out the top 10 at 6,600. Really consistent driver. Are we play or fade?
The price, it's like DraftKings is like dangling it there, trying to get you to click on it. But no, I've said it a couple times, like he can't stay up here, and he has been, but no, I don't. Today, I have him as a fade. I think he's like a fade GPP. I can't see playing him in cash. I think there's a couple of guys that are going to push him down about 5 positions when it's all said and done. So
yeah. I don't see paying off that salary. Next up, we have Chris Bell and Tyler Reddick, 8K and 7,600. Guys starting at 11th and 12th. Any love for these two gentlemen?
Bell, yes. He has done well in this package as the rest of the Gibbs cars had. I can see him as a cash play. Like we said, it's hard to pass here. I think there are some guys that are going to come up a little bit, but he should finish around the range where he's starting. Reddick, I think he might be starting a little bit too high. I don't know. He's good at multi-groove tracks. I don't know if there's a high groove here. I didn't see too much of that in Xfinity. So
No.
I'm kind of out on him. I don't hate it, GPP if you want, but if you're talking about the two different car programs and the owners, like Bell definitely has the better equipment, and he did much better here in Xfinity than Reddick did.
Okay. I like that. GPP guys for me, not going to be too elite, too high owned in my player pool, but certainly not the worst place. Next up we have Ryan Newman at 6,800.
He's kind of stuck in no man's land here.
Yeah.
He's a little bit too high. He's not priced bad.
Right.
He's hard to pass, but I don't really see him really doing much other than if he finishes where he started, that like is it really worth it to get like 13 place points without no place differential, no laps led, no fastest laps. I
Right.
just unless he's your last guy in your lineup and you land exactly on like 68 or if you land exactly on 68 and he's the only driver that will fit, then yes. I'd rather take him I don't want to spoil some of the guys down below, but if you've already taken some of the other guys that we talk about coming up and you have 68 left exactly, then yes, but any other scenario, no.
Yeah, I actually would rather play Busch over Newman if we had to pick between the two up here in the 6K range inside the top 15. But I don't like either one of those plays as far as a cash standpoint. If you could go that way in GPPs, maybe, but you're obviously banking on a top 10 from either driver, and I just don't see it this week. Next up, we have Austin Dillon at 7,400. Is there any history to talk about with Austin Dillon here? Do you have any good results?
The problem with him is and this might transpire, is he seems like he's got a better like long run car than like a short run car. So like with restarts and stuff, he tends to like fall back and then is able to pick off some drivers like here and there in this package. But I just don't see him getting up far enough up front to dominate.
Yeah.
If they did some weird pit strategy, but he's trying to get into the playoffs, so I wouldn't see them doing anything really obscure to try, like some of the guys that don't care, that pit early or don't pit or take chances. I don't see him really gambling like that.
Yeah, I don't mind him for
I think he's an average driver. I mean, he's good at
I like him on 2 mile tracks, the
Yeah.
Michigan motor speedways. I think I'm going to reserve my super love for Dillon at those tracks, like super speedways, 2 mile tracks. These 1 mile, 1.5 mile, short 1.25. I don't really think those are his favorite kind of races. He didn't do too bad at Darlington, but for me, Austin Dillon is going to be a low end GPP play. Next up, we have a really good driver, 10-3, Brad Keselowski, starting 15th. Got a lot of place differential upside here, and even some win equity. Brad K into the mix for you?
I don't know. He's one that I've struggled with. Maybe I'll pair him with Harvick in my GPP line as like the second for going for like the place differential with Dominator and took somebody else like cheaper up top. But last week he struggled and he was on the pole, and we said that we thought he was going to struggle. And that's even before we knew that his crew chief was out because of COVID protocol. So we checked and didn't see that he's still out. We didn't see that it's confirmed that he's back. We don't know how much time he missed this week, like trying to set up the car and everything. So that concerns me. He's been good in this package, but his recent form hasn't been good. So I don't know. There's so many things like pros and cons like are almost dead even that I'm not sure. And again, he's like we said about Kyle Busch like a couple weeks ago. If he ends up getting up front and dominating this race, not going to surprise us. But is that more likely in the range of outcomes or more of an outlier?
Sure. He's got the booth mojo going this week, though. Anytime I see one of those Penske guys in the booths next week, they always do pretty well. That's a silly thing to think.
Except for Austin Dillon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Tyler Reddick. I don't mind Brad K. I seem to play him at the right time, but I don't really have a good feel for him here either. especially with the crew chief situation going on. It looked like that really affected the team last week. And Brad Keselowski, I would say he's a better play than Chase. Maybe even a little bit of a better play than Kyle Busch this week, because you do get place differential and top 5 upside. So GPPs for sure. Next up, we have Alex Bowman at 9,200 starting 16th. I don't think I'm in on Bowman this week. I might be completely wrong and I completely off, but I might want to, I'm thinking about excluding it because of the price tag, and I just don't see I don't see him paying it off. Am I off on this?
I don't know. This guy has to be the most vanilla ice cream, plain Jane driver in NASCAR. Like, he is
Yeah.
just like somebody that completely like flies under the radar. And you look at the box score at the end, you're like, oh, hey, Alex Bowman was in top 5. Hey, Alex Bowman was in the top 10. He's just kind of there. He doesn't make noise. He's not somebody that you fear, but he's someone that you still have to respect.
Yeah.
He has had good races at Dover. He's had bad races at Dover. Even he was bad on Saturday. He was good on Sunday, and he's
Sure.
been good in this package. He's been bad in this package. So flip a coin, and we'll see which Alex Bowman shows up.
Yeah.
I like the price.
Perfectly
I like the
said.
price differential. So definitely somebody that's interested in GPPs. I think he'll have high ownership, just based on where he's starting, and that he's in a Hendricks car, which have been pretty good. But I think out of the Hendricks cars, there's 5 Hendricks cars or 4 Hendricks cars. 4 Hendricks cars. I think
Yeah.
he is definitely number 3 this year.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this one as well. I think you pretty much hit it nail on the head with how flip a coin, and that's pretty much how his season goes. 16th, it is pretty decent starting position for a guy that's done fairly well. And he did win at Richmond, which is that short 1 mile track. So maybe I should really reconsider my stance here and just throw him in some GPP lineups. All right, so we have Chase Briscoe is starting 17th at 61. Matt DiBenedetto starting 18th with 7,800, and Ross Chastain at 6,500 starting 19th. Any love for these three? You know who I'm out on.
Yeah, Briscoe, but like, he actually was decent last week. It's a similar track.
Yeah, he was.
And he did really, really well here in Xfinity.
Yeah,
So,
I was thinking, I had a gut feeling about Briscoe heading into the last week. I was like, maybe this is the time. And it was. Maybe he's starting to figure it out. The 14 car is not a bad Stewart-Haas car. This is Tony Stewart's old ride. Then it turned into Clint Boyer's ride. Clint Boyer did really well in the 14 for his driving ability. And Chase Briscoe's driving ability kind of showed you, okay, he's not ready, but now he's starting to get it a little bit comfortable. 6,100 is really cheap, and I mean, you're gonna have to really fight
yeah,
for some
and
value.
he's one of the guys that I needed for the build when you're going like 2 Dominators, and then
I think you just have to play it because of his price tag, and then the equipment is far better than the other plays in this range as far as price tags. So I actually have to play Briscoe this week and just hope for the best. I mean, it's not a fun strategy to think of, but it's just kind of how you have to do it with the way salaries shake out. So pray for a good Briscoe day and see what you can do. DiBenedetto, I think he's priced a little bit too high up, but I do like Penske's, Fords, Wood Brothers. It all makes sense for me this week.
He's done decent at Dover, so I think he's a cash play if you can afford him. And like I said before, you're going to have to only go like 2 Dominators up top and then go balance below. And I think he fits in nicely, and you can have a nice differentiation there. But if you're trying to get the Byron or the Blaney or like Bowman in your lineup or Logano, then you're going to need some lower guys.
Yeah. I think he's good GPP low end for me. Next up, we have Ross Chastain. I am presuming this will be the value chalk of the day.
Yeah.
Given how well he's performed for 2 weeks in a row now as value chalk, I think people are just going to continue to click on that button. This smells a lot like the moment Ross Chastain rears his ugly head. Am I wrong, or is this
I don't,
is this consistency paying off finally?
I don't know. I think he like Stenhouse is starting to get learn how to drive and not be like use his aggression to his advantage and not make bad decisions. I think he's
Yeah,
learning a little bit of patience, which is helping.
yeah,
And I think that's helping to earn a little bit of the respect of some of the other drivers, which I think helps out also. I mean, this car just has a great history here. From
yeah.
Jamie McMurray did really well here in it. Kyle Larson was a top 5 car in it when
Oh,
he was here. So,
okay.
so I think
Briscoe and Ross Chastain. What can go wrong?
a
That's
lot.
all I'm gonna say.
But
No, I think you have to another price play here. If you're gonna play Briscoe, you're gonna have to definitely play Chastain. He's gonna be really chalky. It's a cash play for sure. If you wanted to go underweight in GPPs, I'm not gonna argue against it, but certainly have to play him. Next up, we have Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at 71 and Michael McDowell at 62. Any love for the guys starting 20th and 21st?
I think they're okay for GPPs. McDowell's, this isn't really his track style, but I like he's kind of start his price and his starting place. So that would have surprised me if he moved up into the top 15. Absolutely not. Stenhouse, the same thing. He's a little bit out of the price range for what I'm building. So I'm okay playing him, but I'm not no priority.
Yeah, low end GPP plays. Next up, we have Bubba Wallace at 69 and Eric Jones at 72. Are one of these two drivers standing out above the other?
Maybe Jones, like Bubba. We said he averages like a 22nd place finish.
Yeah,
He's starting 22nd. Like one of these races, he'll end up in like the top 5, and we'll be like, where did that come from? But not paying to
and
find out.
yeah, exactly. And it's not going to be sustainable.
I'll let the people who lost money every single week playing Bubba Wallace, waiting for him to do something great, recover their money on me that week.
Yep, great. I love that. I think that's perfect. If we've already buried ourselves into the not Bubba train, so we'll continue to fade or play lower stakes on Bubba Wallace and
And
let
it'll
that
be
keep
interesting,
burning
like
out.
maybe next year when they have practices
Yeah.
and everything. Hopefully NASCAR goes back to that as like COVID. Hopefully,
Yeah, we don't know. It's kind of up in the air. So
right. But the whole thing is too is these teams need to recover a lot of money that they've lost from revenue. So practice costs money. It's fuel. It's the potential of like losing
yeah,
cars. It's paying the teams like more money to be out there, like doing adjustments and stuff. So
it could be a while till we see practices.
right. Yeah, but if like Bubba had practices and they in qualifying and stuff, would this be a different situation? You know, if he had a really fast car sometime and like he doesn't have to start where he finishes every week and he starts in the like top 5, top 10, would it make
Yeah,
a difference? Would he be able to get up there, maybe get in cleaner air and stuff, run with some faster cars? And you know, maybe I'm hoping that's the problem because I like him. I wish him success. I like that they
yeah,
started this team and I really want to see him to succeed. But
me too.
for DFS wise, I can't put my money on him right now in this race.
Perfect. Well, I got that perfectly well said. Eric Jones, Richard Petty Motorsports, not the best team. These guys are really fringe on, bottom tier team to mid tier. I don't know. I like Eric Jones as the driver. I hate Richard Petty Motorsports. That's kind of
Yeah,
my thoughts.
which is sad, like how far this has fallen. But then again,
Yeah.
it's hard with like everything.
It's hard to back a guy that's going to be starting 23rd and finishing 25th.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of his team. Unfortunate because Eric Jones deserves a better ride. Next up, we have my guy, Daniel Suarez, starting 24th, 63. Mega, you even have to play that. He's like, no, I don't.
I don't hate it as much as some of the other weeks, but
You can't. Starting 24th, he's not starting 15th.
I know.
Here comes the upside. Oh, yeah, TK's cashing in. I'm playing a lot of Suarez tomorrow.
Okay.
63.
I like the guy. I absolutely love the guy behind him, though, at 59. I think he's
okay. Let's talk about him. We got Ryan Preece, 5,900, 25th. Preece and Suarez. I can do both. I like that. And I like filling out my lineups with a little bit of maybe Briscoe, Chastain, Suarez, Preece with those 11K drivers. Maybe that's a route I can take to fit my guy Joey in GPPs. If Joey was just like 9K, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, and I think like 5'9", I like that. He's the only guy under 6 that, well, barely, that, you know, I consider, I think, playing. I think he's in a, he's not going to go up very far, I don't think, but if he finishes 25th and I can get all the rest of the guys on my lineup, lock him in.
Yeah, and that's the thing. What we're looking for in Preece is maybe 5 to 3 or 3 to 5 place differential points. Finish inside like the top 20 would be like a bonus, because at 5,900, all we're really trying to do is make sure we don't pick a guy that's finishing dead last or in the back end of the 30s, and we're fitting the Truex, the Hamlin, the Dominators that we need. So I think he works out. He's going to work out fine. 20 to 25 points is all we really want from Preece. Okay, next up we have a surprise last week, Corey LaJoie, and then we have Anthony Alfredo, 57 and 55, 26 and 27. Corey LaJoie finished really well last week. I was quite impressed with how well the team did. Your thoughts?
I think the consequence of this is he's starting too high.
Yeah.
Both these guys, again, if you are playing that build where like you're trying the 2 Dominators and you're throwing in Logano, I think you probably will have to play one of these 2 guys. I'm not interested in it. At LaJoie, I'm fading. The equipment sometimes scares me a little bit with him. Alfredo just hasn't been good, and I see at least 4 guys that I think can get ahead of these 2. So I think that they finish like 29th and 30th.
I think this week, and I think you were talking about it a little bit, where you want to get 2 11K guys and a 9K. You're going to need a 5K, dark horse. I think I'm going to play a little bit of Alfredo this week and see if it plays out. Like maybe this is a week where he gets kind of lucky and he lucks into like a top 25 and pays off his salary. I'm going to play it over LaJoie, but I'm going to, hope and pray a small portion of my GPP builds with a little bit of Alfredo to help me get a lot of the studs in. Next up, we have Kurt Busch starting 28th, 8,700. Is the car going to stay? Is the car going to catch on fire or not catch on fire?
I think the car is going to be fine for this one. I think he's a really good play here, but again, I think he's a really good core cash play, but you could only go with 2 Dominators to get him in. That's going to be like if you do like the balanced build. And I think we need to cut down here and include like Eric Almirola in the same breath, because both of them had issues last week. They're similar in price. One's 87, one's 82. Almirola, you actually get a discount for him starting further on back. But then again, Kurt Busch has had a better season. Almirola has just had like bad luck after bad luck after bad luck. And a lot of it hasn't, I don't think it's the driver there. So both of these guys, I think, have tremendous place differential. Neither one of them are going to get up in the top 10. I think neither one of them are going to lead any laps in this race unless something crazy happens and they go with some weird pit strategy. But I know Kurt Busch is trying to get into the playoffs. I don't know if Almirola even has a shot at this point, but it's still like a lot of season left. So I think both these guys can get up into the top 15. And if you want to go 2 Doms and place differential, those are the next 2 guys into your lineup. But if you're trying to get another 3rd Dominator up there, then you're not going to be able to afford them.
Yeah, I think Almirola, if he is trying to get into that playoff, he's going to try to win races. So maybe he takes a shot late on a different pit strategy or a different tire strategy that may pay off for him. So that could build upside in it in a sense, but I don't like it on a short 1 mile track. It doesn't seem to really fit. I think Almirola, when we get to like maybe Daytona again or Talladega or a 2 mile track with a big track with big speeds, he might have an opportunity to steal a victory from one of the other studs. I don't think that happens here, but I don't mind the price tag at 82 starting 32nd. And yeah, I'm probably gonna have to play some Kurt Busch. I was totally against it last week. It seemed to play off well for me. But 8,700, 28th starting position. We talked about a countless litany of guys that were ahead of him that we didn't really consider to be guys that had place different upside, but I think Kurt Busch does. Sandwiched in between them, we have Josh Berry at 53. He is filling in for Justin Haley, who is driving the 77 car. And then we have Cole Custer at 77. Any love for the two guys sandwiched in between the Busch and Almirola?
I think Josh Berry is as polarizing as Bowman, as we talked about. There's so many people that are saying like this guy is a very good driver. He's won a race in Xfinity. He actually finished second here yesterday.
Yeah.
In the race. And then you have the other half saying that this car is a complete poo wagon and that you like the equipment is just going to break down, or what they used to call those things that came around the campground and took the waste out of the honey wagon or whatever. Yeah, he's driving the honey wagon. But this car is just not reliable. But maybe it's the quality of driver that's been in it, because you've had like Justin Haley really hasn't been that good. It was Reed Soreston. It was, a bunch of other guys before that was in this. I'm very intrigued. I love the price. I don't know. I think it's a cash play possibly, but I think he's better than any other driver in that range, and I think he's got a lot of potential. But of course, I thought that about the ARCA guy that came to Xfinity yesterday and had poor equipment and couldn't get out of his own way. So, but that's not Josh Berry, and this has nothing to do with like his last name either. So,
no relation.
No relation.
I like Josh Berry. I think I'm going to play a little bit of him and Alfredo in that bottom 5K range as far as guys that can help me fit the 11K, 9K build that I was hoping to figure out. So it's not going to be a lot of GPP strategy for me, and I'm still debating on whether or not to do that for the 100. But we'll see. Cole Custer, 7,700.
I think he can be popular. I think he's gonna be highly owned, just with like if you're chasing cheaper place differential, you get a $500 discount down from Almirola there. He's been okay recently. So.
I think I liked him better in the low sevens.
Top 10 last year here as a rookie, and he was okay here in Xfinity.
He was running well last week too. He just kind of got caught in it. I mean, I like him better in the low sevens. 77, I understand they priced him up a little bit higher because of the place differential. I think Custer can get like 10 place differential points, finish in that 20 range. I actually like it more than I do Kurt Busch, as I think they have the same upside and you're getting $1,000 cheaper.
Yeah.
So that, I guess I like Custer a little bit more than I thought. Okay, BJ McLeod.
There's nobody else that we should talk about. McLeod, Davidson, Ware, Huff, Smitley, Bilicki. You're playing with fire, kids. Just say no.
Say no to drugs. Okay, that'll pretty much wrap things up for the driver by driver. Do you have anything else to add on strategy or thoughts on the race?
No, like I said, I think you need to go 2 DOMs up top and then take these place differential guys for balance, or try to get that third driver in. If you try to, it is possible to do a Truex, Hamlin, Larson lineup, but you are going to be playing the guys that we told you not to. So if all 3 of them get up there and they, for some reason, evenly split the laps and all have like 133 laps led and finish 1, 2, 3. Congratulations to you. Hopefully your other guys didn't finish 40th, 39th, and 38th and run into each other as the race started and turn no laps. So especially in Fanduel where you need like laps completed. So
yeah. All right. Well, that'll do it for us here at FSI for the Dover International Speedway Drydene 400. Looking forward to today's race. Becca, thank you for joining me this early in the morning. And let's get some green screens. Follow us at TK Nation 47. That's at and Mega Roller 31. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good day.